Hey, Stars fans. Welcome into the Dallas Stars Fanatic podcast. I'm your host, Garrett Jones. Solo for tonight. Connor and Ryan taking care of some business. Connor's on the game recap, so be sure to keep an eye for that on DallasSportsFanatic.com. Let's jump right into it. Just a very brief recap of the Stars' Game 2 loss, 3-2. Tampa Bay takes game number 2. I thought there were a lot of really good things for the Stars, even though they would go down 3-0 in that first period. If you're anything like me, you were very frustrated with that initial result. That was very disheartening to see Dallas go down 3-0. But I was certainly impressed with the resolve. I was moved by the fight, and I think it bodes very well for Dallas in the overall story of this series that they were able to claw their way back into this one and get within a few shots of taking the lead. As I mentioned, Tampa Bay goes up 3-0 in the first. Braden Point, one of the best players in the playoffs, going to get paid hugely when his contract comes up for Tampa Bay, developing into a really solid player all around for Tampa. He scores his first goal of the Stanley Cup Final in the first, just 11:23 into it. Then Andre Palat on the power play. Again, Dallas just taking stupid penalties over and over again in that first period. The Stars clearly came out and wanted to be the aggressors. They knew that Braden Point was hurt. They knew that Nikita Kucherov was a little banged up. Tampa Bay only playing with 11 healthy skaters. So Rick Bowness and John Stevens on the Dallas bench clearly set the Stars out with a mission to hit Tampa Bay and hit them hard. And I thought that was a good idea on paper. It was not executed very well. I think just the fact that Dallas was going in for so many hits let them expose in a lot of areas. And the NBC broadcast crew mentioned that Dallas and Tampa Bay combined for 106 hits in game 1. I think we eclipsed that total in game number 2, largely because the Stars were pinching in, trying to go for hits. And then even strength, Kevin Shattenkirk, a really soft goal from Anton Hudot. And I think that's the softest goal I've seen him give up in the postseason. A lot of screen action going on in front of the net. Alex Killorn was a major agitator in that department tonight. And Shattenkirk sees an opportunity. He's a veteran defenseman, used to play for the U.S. Olympic team, longtime star killer with the St. Louis Blues. Does the exact same thing there, and Tampa Bay goes up 3-0 after 1. Dallas did not have much fight at all. Only 5 shots, but in the second, they really settle into the game, and they routinely draw Tampa Bay penalties. They even got 2 power plays in the first, and in the second. They don't capitalize until Joe Pavelski gets a tally with the extra man, his 10th goal of the playoffs. What a signing that's been for Jim Nill. And Pavelski certainly made his presence known tonight, winning a lot of faceoffs. He won 11 out of 15, including a really important one that I'll get to in just a minute. Klingberg and Radulov set it up. John Klingberg was incredible tonight. He set up both goals on a silver platter. I thought he played really good defense. And in the second late, there was a bit of a scrum. Corey Perry and Joe Pavelski, after a roughing call, Klingberg and Perry go to the box, but there were 3 Lightning in the penalty box: Pat Maroon, Andre Palat, and I can't remember the third member of the Lightning that were in the penalty box. But a big line scrum there. No major fights, just a lot of chirping going on. So both teams playing very physical, both teams getting into it. That also kind of tilted momentum. Dallas played a completely different level in that second period. They outshot Tampa by almost 20 shots. The Lightning tallied up shots in the first period. They barely got anything in the second. Let's see, shots by period on the NHL. Dallas had 6 in the first, 18 in the second compared to Tampa's 5. And then just like the Vegas series, Dallas tallying single digits shots in the third. They get outshot 5-12 from Tampa. So that was really kind of the story in this game. But in the third, Dallas claws back into it. Klingberg, again, as I mentioned, setting up Matthias Janmark's first goal of the postseason. Good to see him getting in on the goal scoring action. He's been great in the penalty kill for most of the postseason run, but I'm glad to see him get a goal. Total lobotomy, as Daryl Razor Ray would say, on a wicked feed from Klingberg that set Janmark up for an easy goal that beat Andrei Vasilevskiy, who was very good tonight. Much better performance for Vasilevskiy in net, who was pretty shaky in game 1. And then Tampa Bay almost put it away. Sergachev, who was quiet in game 1. I think he's going to have a big impact on this series. Looked like he finally got on the scoreboard, but it was waved off. Obvious offside. Blake Coleman, the Dallas native, skated across the blue line first for Tampa Bay. So that one gets waved off, and huge break for Dallas. Huge break for Dallas that this was back to 3-2. The Stars eventually pulled the goalie under the 2-minute mark. They get a couple good looks, but a costly icing, and then Barclay Goodrow completely missing the net actually bodes well for them. They still can't capitalize. Tampa Bay ices the puck. Dallas gets a draw in the Tampa Bay zone. John wins it and sets up John Klingberg for a pretty good look from the point. He just didn't get all of it. And Jamie Benn had another one just a couple minutes earlier that was pretty much on a tee for him to tie the game. A lot of room in the net. He's been pretty quiet through the first 2 games after scoring 3 goals in a row. I'm not one to criticize Jamie Benn because I think he's had a great postseason overall. Just not happening there. Tyler Seguin also had some great opportunities to score. Alexander Radulov seemingly was in the right place at the right time every single time tonight. The keys to the game, the crux of this one tonight was Dallas just didn't have enough. They had a lot of good thing going. As I said, they did a really nice job killing off a lot of Tampa Bay penalties and making up for some ununderstandable penalties in the first couple periods. Tampa Bay goes 2 for 4 in the power play. The 2 power play goals in the first ended up being the difference. It was Shattenkirk's even strength goal that ended up being the game winner. Dallas just 1 of 5 on the power play. You think if they push one of those across, they have a much better chance of winning this game in overtime. But yeah, just the theme. Klingberg's attempt at a game-tying goal was a microcosm of this game for Dallas. Just not enough. However, I will say I'm very encouraged by the way that the Stars fought back. If you were like me, you thought that the game was over when Dallas went down 3-0. Very frustrating to see the Stars come out like that, but they sure battled back in the second. They looked like the much better team in that second period. Then in the third, Tampa Bay did what it did in game 1. They woke up. And for Dallas, moving forward in this series, I think that it's going to be a matter of containing that Tampa charge in the third period. Can you build up a big enough lead in period 1 and 2 to hold them off from the third? Because they clearly got that. As I mentioned, Vasilevsky much better tonight than he was in game 1. I still didn't think he was out of this world, but he did play pretty well. Victor Hedman, the first star for Tampa. Kucherov, the second, and Klingberg for Dallas. As I mentioned, John Klingberg was excellent tonight. Anton Khudobin, not bad at all. Tampa Bay came into this game knowing that Hudobin's pretty much stopping everything that he can see, and anything that's staying close to the eyes, Hudobin's pretty much stopping. You saw that in game 1 when he just absolutely took over the game in the third period. They were able to elevate it a little more. Point shot was in the top left corner of the goal. So that one was absolutely an example of that. The next one, Dallas's defense breaks down on the power play. Defenseman loses an assignment, and Palat tucks it in. I'm not putting that on Khudobin. And then the Shattenkirk one that ended up being the game-winning goal, that absolutely was on Khudobin. He still saves 28 out of 31 shots. He's still playing out of his mind. He's still being the postseason MVP for the Stars. He just couldn't get them over the hump in this game. And that's the thing. That's the theme of game 2 tonight for the Stars. They just didn't have enough. And that's more than okay, because you get that huge game 1 win. And as I mentioned, I thought if the Stars could win tonight's game, I thought they pretty much had already punched their ticket to the Stanley Cup championship. Obviously, they didn't, and we're right back where we're starting, which is a very good thing for Dallas. And that game 1 win, the more we move away from it, is just going to become more important and more important. I don't think Dallas is a 2018 Vegas where you see them steal game 1 and then go on to lose in 5. I can't imagine this series ending any shorter than 6 or 7 games. I think it's going to end up 2-2 no matter what. I think that back-to-back on Friday and Saturday, we do know now that we're going to have a game 5, so there will be a back-to-back for sure in the series. That's having a much bigger impact than I think a lot of people are giving credit. So for Dallas, if they can win the pivotal game 3, I think that bodes very well for them. But yeah, we're right back where we started. It's back to an even series and a best of 5. So Stars just need to go 3-2 over these next 4 games, and they'll be hoisting Lord Stanley's mug in the end of it. But obviously a long way to go. Still some encouraging things for Dallas. Power play needs to tighten up a little better. Thought the penalty kill was pretty strong overall. Dallas defensively had a couple breakdowns, as I mentioned, but nothing that interim head coach Rick Bowness can't fix. And as I mentioned, I love the fight overall. So let me know what you think. Be sure to comment live every time that we jump into this. Ryan and Connor will be back in on Wednesday nights. We will very likely have a post-game reaction for you. You can find us on Twitter at Dallas_Fanatic. You can find me on Twitter at GJonesOnAir, Ryan on Twitter at Lockdown21, and follow Connor's work on DallasSportsFanatic.com. 3-2 Tampa Bay takes the game and ties the series. So a lot of good things going for the Stars, as I mentioned, just not quite enough tonight. Signing off for now on the Dallas Stars Fanatic podcast, I'm Garrett Jones. We'll see you next time. Oh, Game 3, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock on NBC Sports once again.